Hello, horror junkies, and welcome to Scarifyer. I'm your host, The Gov.
And I'm Quinn.
And we're trying something a little bit different today. We're going with a more raw format. See how it works for you.
Good luck. So while we have your guys' attention, head over to our Instagram profile. Check out some of the photos. Comment on some of the stuff that you guys see, what you like, what you don't like, or throw out suggestions. We want to hear from you.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, the Netflix film, however you want to call it.
It's not a Texas movie.
I hate this movie. I hated this movie.
I wanted to like it
and I'm
so much.
so excited to explain why I hate it so much. If you haven't seen it, the movie is out on Netflix now. It is simply titled Texas Chainsaw Massacre. How original.
Well, they did that with Scream, and nobody... Well, I mean, some people complained about it, but, it wasn't necessarily bad.
Well, that was part of the joke with Scream.
Well, no, I get that, but, nobody, really connected that, did they?
The film is directed by David Blue Garcia, and its official release date was February 18th, 2022, and we're just now getting a chance to talk about it, and it is a story by Fede Alvarez. You'll know him from the... Evil Dead remake.
The one that's coming up?
No, the one that was made.
Oh.
Yeah.
I actually liked that one.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I thought it was a very respectable remake, but we're not here to talk about that. Let's talk about Texas. I was really hoping to like this film. I'm not going to lie. I was really crossing my fingers. I was really hoping that we were going to, continue the story, and that is not what we got. Whatsoever.
I knew I was not going to like this. I could tell by the trailer, and I posted my reaction to the trailer when the trailer dropped. Yeah, and it's not that I was, so don't, shake your finger at me and say, oh, well, you were, predetermined to not like this film, so going in, you were already negative. No, I never go into a movie like that.
No.
I always go in with an open mind, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Hopefully they do. These guys did not. This film did not.
No, I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with the original besides the house.
Yeah,
that's it.
And Leatherface is there, and fake Sally Hardesty is there, and I'm sorry, it is fake Sally Hardesty, because here we go again. We have a film that is, quote-unquote, the trend that was set by Halloween. We're going to get rid of canon, and this is the quote-unquote real sequel.
That we've done 6 or 7 times, but this time we mean it.
No, with this franchise especially...
Nobody can do it right.
They've already played this is the official sequel after the Tobe Hooper film from 1973. Here's the problem. One, there is an official sequel. It's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 that Tobe Hooper made.
Himself, yeah.
And I know that it's polarizing to fans because it was way more of a black comedy than it was a straight-up horror film. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people do like it.
Wasn't that kind of his vision in the first place?
He
thought it was more humor, and people were actually freaked the fuck out of the original.
I mean, he was making a social commentary film, especially when it comes to themes of the Vietnam War and stuff like that, and coming back from it.
Yeah.
But he has said in multiple interviews that he thinks it's funny. He goes,
he thought it was funny. He's dead.
Well, yeah, he saw more humor in it than I think anyone else did. But they did it again in the mid-'90s with Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, or how it was originally called, Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If anyone still remembers that trailer, it's floating out there.
Boo.
But that was supposed to be, we're going to wipe canon. We're going to get rid of, at that point, Texas 2 and 3. And this is the official sequel because it was co-written by Kim Henkel. And then jump forward to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, a movie that a great friend of ours, Adam Marcus, was supposed to have involvement in.
And it sounded like it was going to be badass.
His original concept, his original script, which was not filmed. But we did a whole episode on that, so you can check that out.
Or go to bloodydisgusting.com, and he actually gave a interview as a rundown of what 3D was supposed to be.
And what it was supposed to be, again, was the official sequel. We're getting rid of canon. We're wiping the continuity clean, and this is the real sequel.
So how many sequels do we have to this film?
Yeah.
Like 3?
In fact, and that's the thing with 3Ds, it starts off with it, minutes later from the first movie, from the events of the first movie.
Which I think is something that this movie should have done.
Well, that's also... they
had a continuation from it.
They committed a very similar sin that this movie did, and I'll get to that in a minute. So, and then you had a prequel to that called Leatherface, which most...
Who remembers?
Yeah, exactly. Already, everybody forgot about. And that was the second movie titled Leatherface. And then you got this, which is just called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again. And following Halloween 2018, that's all this movie was attempting to be. Halloween 2018.
No, I will fully admit.
That's the entire reason of its existence.
But here's the thing.
It's to copy the formula from that film.
But here's the thing. This movie got it wrong in a couple points. First of all...
It got a lot wrong.
Well,
multiple points.
Well, hold on. Don't get ahead of me. So... one of the things that they already did wrong off the bat, obviously you can't get the original Sally to be in it.
Right, yeah, huh?
She passed away.
Yeah, huh?
So that already was going to be something that was already a mistake, okay? Replacing her is almost like an insult. I mean, kudos to the actress who did replace her. I think she did a good job. Shame they didn't do much with her, but from what she did a pretty good job. But it's not the same effect as when you see Jamie Lee Curtis come in. I mean, I have never heard so much uproar in a movie theater of pure joy and excitement as when Jamie Lee Curtis jumped on that screen.
And that's and that's just it. It's literally just a paint by numbers. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I know the memes are out there, that show them side by side, and one is this is the Kmart version of Laurie Strode or something like that.
Or can I borrow your homework?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of them. They're very entertaining, but that's the only reason why you reintroduce this character. I mean, I don't have anything really against recasting, and I understand. So when I heard about that, I'm like, okay, so they obviously want to do something special. They obviously want to tie it back into the original, so much so that they have to have the character of Sally Hardesty back. They have to do it. There's no way to get around it. So we're going to recast it because the original actress, like you said, has passed on. That's not the case here. I didn't see a profound or important reason to have her in it besides the fact of that's what Halloween did. And they're trying to copy that mold.
But see, the other thing about it that they got wrong as well is Halloween at least continued our story.
Exactly.
And it had connections to the original. I mean, hell, they had flashbacks, extra scenes, so to speak, of the original. This movie did not. At all.
This movie sets itself up as being this was such a historical event that people come to visit this town just to see where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre happened. And a lot of, community gas station workers and other officials, they kind of cash in on it, so much so that they're airing a documentary when it's just footage from the trailer.
No, I know.
I found that really entertaining. I'm like, this is supposed to, this is the documentary of what happened in 1973. I'm like, no, that's the trailer for the first movie. And the story is about a group of young adults who bought a town.
Yeah, or they're trying to revitalize the town, but they're trying to get investors to sink money into it.
Yeah, and they're auctioning off
buildings and
buildings
stuff
that I
for
guess
businesses
they're
invest
buying
in.
it from the bank.
Which is a smart idea. Please don't get me wrong. That's actually
if
a really
that's
smart
what they're
idea.
doing. Here's the thing.
They don't really establish that.
And that's a common problem in this movie is they establish nothing.
No,
they
don't
tell
talk
us
about anything.
nothing. And I don't know how this connects to the original with the mere fact that Leatherface and Sally Hardesty are back.
Leatherface isn't even the OG Leatherface, because if Leatherface was the original, he'd be in his 80s.
Well, they never said that it's not him.
Yeah, but that man is not in his 80s.
No, clearly not. And
he's in a orphanage, and that was never the case in the original. So what the hell are they trying to do?
Being looked after by an old woman that they just refer to as Mama. I don't know a mama
I didn't
character.
know a mama character.
And this also goes back to the other sequels. There is such little care in continuity of what characters go where.
Yeah.
Even down to Texas Chainsaw 3D, when you have that opening and they try to, like, they had Bill Moseley playing the cook, and they did, like, the hitchhiker, and they had Leatherface there looking like he did at the end of the first movie, and Gunnar Hansen is playing Boss Sawyer. Where the hell did these other family members come from?
I have no idea. I think they were like in the basement or something, and they just were like, something's going on
Exactly.
upstairs.
And as I recall, there was only 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 if you include Grandpa. And then all of a sudden they have, like, their cousins and their uncles and their brothers. Like, all of a sudden I guess they...
So then there's a really
put a call out to something.
So then there's a really good question. I mean, that could have been something that connected us with this new Leatherface. You know, let's say somebody from the family had another child or something like that and just continued the family, you know, that way. And maybe, like, she was dying or something like that and left the baby at the orphanage, and this mama character raised him and whatnot, you know? But we don't have that.
They don't tell us that. They tell us nothing.
Us anything. And it's just frustrating because there's no context. There's no explanation. I still don't understand why she said, stay out of my room.
Oh, that's where his chainsaw was.
Yeah, okay, so how do we know that? Again, that would have made more sense if, like, maybe he was, like, a baby from the family.
Well, what they're implicating is that this mama is the only one that keeps him calm. And then when she dies because of a screw-up by the young building moguls,
I'm not sure what to
bus
call
of
them.
millenniums that everyone keeps calling them, even though there's not millennials. But she accidentally dies through a mistake. He gets angry at the entire bus full, and he starts picking them off one by one. And we're led to believe that she's the only one who can control his rage, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're not really told.
We don't really get told anything. My other thing that I find funny is they make the Sally character live in the old house.
Yeah.
Dude, she would have been so far away from that place it wouldn't even be funny. But again, just because they're trying to do a Halloween remake...
It literally is. Like, it is very much a, what did they do in 2018?
Let's try to copy it
So
and
we're
do it.
literally just going to copy that. And it doesn't work because not only do they not explain anything,
No.
but you don't have that. They wanted that moment where Sally comes face to face with her boogeyman, Leatherface, after 50 years for this movie. After 50 years,
But it's not him.
They're apparently it is because no one said anything otherwise.
But that's the thing. No,
But
because
we're
it's-
supposed to
no,
buy that's
because
like an
it's-
80-year-old man.
No, because it's not. Because she even says, you don't remember me. And he walks away from her because he has no idea who the heck this lady is.
I took that more of like he doesn't really care. Like
No, she doesn't. No, he doesn't remember her.
you know, almost kind of like a General Bison thing of like, you know, when I killed your friends and your family was the most important day of your life, but for me it was Tuesday. That's how I took that moment. Like he did it.
Don't bring Street Fighter into this.
Well, sorry, but that's how I took it. Like that's what it meant to him.
I don't think so.
It didn't mean it. That was she
No,
spent
because
her
this is not-
entire life.
No, because this is not an 80-year-old man. No, absolutely not. So no, I don't think it's supposed to be the same Leatherface. But again, we have absolutely no context to this. I didn't like a single one of the characters. Nobody had any connection. Like, I couldn't connect to any single character.
They weren't likable. They weren't relatable.
No.
I mean, I think they were attempting to be like, we're going to cast this full of people like you'll want to see killed in a horrific way, which is good. I understand what they were trying to do.
You have to have at least one person that you connect with.
But that's the thing. Even the final girls, I could care less about
Yeah.
at the end. And I will get into a positive. The killings are really graphic and really well done.
They're so aggressive. I loved it.
I feel like this movie is very style over substance because the kills are done really well.
It's shot beautifully.
The movie is shot beautifully. The director and the DP did a great job. Some of the transitions in the film are really, really good. So I can't give it all negatives because they did do something right. But in terms of story, characters,
There's nothing.
Continuity, nothing. There is
nothing.
absolutely nothing to grab onto. There is nothing about this that screams this is the official sequel. It feels like this is just another one. You know what I mean?
But with a totally different Leatherface, nothing to do with the original. But yes, please make it a sequel. I do have another positive that I would like to throw out there. Mm-hmm. John Larroquette came back.
Yeah, and that was cool, but I mean, ultimately...
I mean, it's not enough to save the film, but I adore John Larroquette. I always have.
Yeah, no.
So I am very happy that he did come back and he sounded flawless.
Kind of felt wasted, but...
I mean, yeah, but...
I mean, would have loved to hear that in a way better movie, but this is what we got, I guess.
I don't know. I honestly... I can see why. If I remember correctly, it was supposed to be theatrically released.
Yep.
And then they looked at it and were like, oh, God, what a dumpster fire. Let's just put it on streaming.
Yeah, well, I heard, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, because I, unlike most of the movies we talk about on the show, I do extensive research. I didn't for this one, and the main reason is because I was so just unimpressed by it. It's not even worth my time to even look deeper into because it's not even interesting to me. But what I did hear was it was set up for a major theatrical release, and you can blame, COVID or the pandemic, anything you want to, why it didn't happen. But one of the things that did come out was the test screenings were that bad. They were so bad, and there was really no time or way or money to fix it. So the studio put the film in a turnaround, and Netflix bought it. They dumped it. The studio.
So yeah, it's probably just because they were like, "What
I
shit dumpster fire."
I believe it. They're like,
I
"This
can see
is
it.
Yeah."
I do feel like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like there were also parts of the movie that were almost like pasted together, or
I can
like
see it.
last minute.
I could see some reshoots in there.
I mean,
totally.
I'm not saying like the whole film, but you can definitely tell where they were almost like trying to like scrapbook this thing.
Yeah. And it really loses its momentum, especially when you're not paying attention enough, or you're not spending the time to focus on continuity to make it connected to the original. You have a fake Sally, which I'm sorry, I'm sure this actress did her best, and it's kind of a no-win situation to take this role. Because the fans... Oh, this is one thing I did want to bring up. When I was watching it, I did say this. I don't know which is worse. What is quote-unquote more disrespectful? To try to reshoot, say, scenes from the original, like they did in Texas 3D, or show us clips of the original actress and say that this is her.
Yeah, no.
I don't know which one is more disrespectful. I feel like the latter.
What, trying to pass it off?
Yeah, like, you won't notice. This is her.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I don't think that's respectable in any way, shape, or form. But again, it's kind of a no-win situation. I understand wanting to have the original character. Everyone wants to see the original character, but sadly the actress passed away. What I thought would have been more plausible is having your final girl from 2 come back. Mm-hmm. And kind of have a little bit of a story of, like, maybe her and Sally got in contact, and Sally, before she passed away, they were going to try to, like, find, Leatherface and his family and, like, make sure that nothing like this happened again or whatever. And I would be cool with her coming back, because at least that's a connection to your original films.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
But they didn't do that.
And I don't understand why they had to throw 2 out. I know 2, like I said before, is polarizing. There's a good handful.
It's not horrible.
It's not horrible, and there's a good handful of fans that do like it, but there's also a large group that don't. I understand that. The reason why Halloween 2018 threw out Halloween 2 from 81 is because they could not figure out how to detach Michael and Laurie from being siblings. They did not want that to be a thing. They did not want to happen, and they tried just so they could keep 2 in continuity, but there was just no way around it, so they said, okay, we're going to throw 2 out. I don't understand why you throw 2 out with this movie series.
No,
I don't.
2 fits perfectly
because
in
at
this
least
film.
2 has, in terms of the characters, it has them.
Yeah.
It follows the continuity that's set up in 1. And then I agree, this version of Sally acted way more like Stretch, that's the character from 2, then I feel like she acted like Sally.
Right.
Like,
Again, I
could
think
see
we were
this,
trying to do the Laurie Strode thing.
Right. I could see this because, Sally was the first or, original. I could see this character being like Stretch evolved into this character. She had the thick Texas accent like Stretch did. She never left Texas. Sally's not from Texas.
No,
her
they were
grandfather was.
Yeah.
But she isn't from Texas.
Yeah.
To admit the character of Sally Hardesty when you don't have the original actress Marilyn Burns and you don't have a real reason for the character to be here besides you want to recapture what they did in Halloween, don't do it. That's just my opinion.
No, I do think that, like I said, that was something that probably needed to be left alone because, again, they're just trying to do a carbon copy of Halloween.
And the whole idea of don't do it, that also goes to, I feel like, this franchise now. Because this franchise...
Nobody can get it right.
They really just need to let it rest. Just leave it alone. You haven't had a decent version, arguably probably since the 2003 remake.
I feel like the Texas Chainsaw movie franchise is horror's equivalent to a Fantastic Four movie for superhero movies. Been done a bunch of times, and nobody can seem to get the formula just right.
Maybe. I honestly think that they just want the name value attached to it.
Which,
I think they just want the IP to continue because it's a profitable one. But here's the problem. You don't know. And what really bothers me is they ended up just making the same movie over and over again. Yeah. There is nothing new in this movie. I've seen it all before. I've seen the shot of somebody hiding under a bed and having the chainsaw set in the foreground and they gasp and their eyes shoot up.
But then that goes to the argument of traditionalism. It's the iconic shot.
That what, you just keep reshooting? That you just keep redoing? It's different. Like... You expect Arnold Schwarzenegger to say, I'll be back when he's in a Terminator movie. But you don't expect the same shots over and over and over again as a cheap way just to get a cheap scare out of you. I've also seen the blade of the saw chasing somebody like a shark before also. Like, there's nothing new about this movie. I've seen Leatherface's demise be at the hands of his own chainsaw. Big whoop. What different do you have to say? Like, why are you making this movie? What could you possibly contribute to it besides we just need another one because we can't let the IP sleep?
I mean, I guess.
This movie's been out for a few weeks now, but the critical reception is in. Currently, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 32% out of 119 critics, which I feel like is a little high, but it's still bad.
I was going to say, it's still not a great number.
And then average rating being a 4.3 out of 10.
Okay, that's bad.
It's below average. Below average.
Not even half.
So, and then for us, Quinn, out of 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 22, or... Netflix's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
1.5.
1.5.
Just for the kills and John Larroquette, strictly speaking, honestly. Nothing original, nothing new. There's no continuity. I hate what they did. They just cheated off of Halloween and was like, let's scrapbook and paste it together and we'll make it work. No. There also was no cannibalism in this film.
No. I mean, you don't, I guess, have to have that, but...
No, but for this, if you're going to make it a Texas Chainsaw movie, come on. You expect it. There's none of that. So 1.5 just for the kills and John Larroquette. Gov?
I'll go a 1 out of 5. 0.5 for the kills. 0.5 for some of the direction. Some of the scene transitions are beautiful, so I couldn't say that I, hated all of it. And is this the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie out there? No. But it's in many ways worse than that because this one is ultimately going to be forgettable.
Yeah.
It leaves zero of an impact. There's nothing original about it. There's nothing new about it. There's no reason to reintroduce Sally Hardesty except for the mere fact that they did it in Halloween. We need our Laurie Strode for this film. And, you know, and not only that, but they copied some of the more, you know, controversial things that Halloween 2018 did. A lot of people don't like that they got rid of the continuity in the Halloween films. And I'm starting to sense that some of the fans of this feel the same. You really need to let this franchise go. Just let it go. It's a one and done thing. You can argue quality. I mean, quality is in the eye of the beholder. You know, I know a lot of people like the second film because it is a dark comedy. I know a lot of people like the 2003 remake. I know even there's a handful of real diehards who liked Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. So, I mean, it has its fan base and its support. But man, come on, where's the effort? 1 out of 5. I probably will never revisit this one.
No.
So that's what we think. This movie's still pretty new, so don't take our word for it. Go out and check it out and get back to us. Get right back to us with what you think, if you disagree with us or if you do agree with us. We want to know either way.
All right, guys, and you can do that at our social media outlets. You can head over to Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and comment and share. Let us know what you think about this film. We want to hear from you.
And until next time, Horror Junkies, I'm the Gov.
And I'm Quinn.
See you next time.
Scarifyer has partnered with Notoriously Morbid. Notoriously Morbid has everything you need to get your horror fix, including collectibles, apparel, and more. Their cosmetics line includes beautiful chromes, mesmerizing lipsticks, all in stunning shades. Head over to Notoriously Morbid and enter Scarifyer10 at checkout for your 10% discount.
Scarifyer.